I'm Jessie Thomas, and this is my 200 square foot tiny house. Come on in and take a look. Well, I built this 200 square foot tiny house. I wanted it to be 10 feet wide, and so that it could be moved. This is sort of a temporary location. It's not meant to be here permanent. So I built it on post and beam foundation, and I didn't do any overhangs or anything. I made it very slender so that just with an inexpensive permit you can take it down the road and haul it away. And the height limits, I kept it down to 12 feet in height. And I didn't go with a loft. I wanted kind of a live-work studio, but it's only 200 square feet, which is tight, but it's just enough. And the exterior, I chose to do like a rain screen, and I used this locally sawn fir siding that I burned, and it was quite labor intensive. It's a stick frame building, but the whole shell is covered with foam insulation, a continuous layer of foam insulation, so it's very well thermally insulated. And even on the roof there's 2 layers, so there's no ventilation in the roof. It's quite contained, and there's a rain screen all around for ventilation. So I've been living here I think 4 years, yeah, something like that. So here we are inside, and I chose this spruce paneling for the interior, and because I wanted to feel kind of bright but rustic, and I wanted a wood interior. But with the spruce, I put a whitewash finish on it so that it's not only is it brighter, but it's going to remain brighter. So yeah, the window is a major piece of the design. I wanted to have a huge framed window to basically be as wide as the bed and have this kind of open area. You know, it is a tiny house with a bed on the main floor, so there's no loft. So I wanted to have enough area to do exercise or just not feel cramped. So the bed itself is a modifying bed, and it pulls out, and there's a leaf in the back that I can pull up. So it slides out like this. And there's another section that I can put in there. It turns into a full-size bed. And I have plenty of some storage underneath. And being somewhat of a minimalist tiny house, I don't have tons of storage, and I didn't want shelves everywhere. So it's quite a challenge, but it's been very rewarding having to pare down my life and live more minimally. It's definitely been an exercise. For the heating, I really wanted to have a wood stove because I wanted this cabin to be self-sufficient and off-grid. Even though it's connected to the grid right now, I wanted it to be solar ready, and I didn't want to rely on electricity for heat, so I got a wood stove, and I like the charm of it. I just keep firewood underneath, and this works great. And I've got a backup heater, electric, just when I'm lazy. It's only like a 400 watt heater. It's super small, so it really doesn't take much to heat this place. The glass, is not. The glass is a heat suck, definitely. It's just a double pane window, but I have some thermal curtains, and it's not too bad. The function of the place being 200 square feet and my only residence, I designed this as a live-work studio. So there's my bed, and there's my office, and then there's my kitchen. As you can see, my place is basically missing a table. It's not really designed for entertaining. I wanted an efficient house where I could live and be productive and work, and I wasn't really designing for guests in mind. The kitchen, as you can see, is pretty small. It's not even 6 feet long, but I went with gas. After starting with electric and induction, I wanted to go back to gas, but I have a CO2 sensor or a carbon monoxide sensor. I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, so living with such a small kitchen and such a small house it's definitely a challenge, a great adjustment, and it does have its drawbacks. I don't have a lot of storage space for food and stuff, but it's really kind of informed more of a way I want to live my life, which is with less things and less, I'd say less fuss around having stuff, and more about just taking advantage of the small thing, the kind of my minimal needs. And my dirty secret about living in a tiny house is living in a minimalist tiny house is that I have a storage shed out back. So this isn't all of my things. If I need extra stuff, I have extra food back there. So it just makes it's actually really an extension to my house. So I have 200 square feet and I have a 100 square foot storage shed. So really I have a 300 square foot house. I didn't withhold on the bathroom. It's nice and spacious. My shower is very spacious. And then this is my closet. It's really small, but it's plenty. It's all I need. I don't have a ton of clothes. And trying to these drawers and the shelves and just that clothes rod are absolutely all I need for space. Again, I have a storage shed. I can put my winter clothes in bins. It's a wonderful process. I really encourage anyone to go through this challenge of minimizing your life, because it really opens up new avenues. It's really inspiring. So the bathroom is designed just to be a toilet and shower. No sink, but I don't have a toilet right now. And I have a composting system. And there's a urine separator on there, and that works really well. People are definitely shocked by it sometimes, but urine is really what smells the most, and as long as you're separating it, it's really not a problem. I would say the main challenge of living in a tiny house is moisture. So you have to really pay attention to how you're ventilating and heating the space to keep moisture at bay. That's a major component. I would encourage people to put in proper ventilation systems, which is, just a bathroom fan is great, with preferably like a speed adjustment to the fan, so that you can sometimes maybe keep it on for a while. Yeah, so as far as other challenges living in a tiny house, heating is an issue, especially if you have a wood stove. I would encourage anybody, if they're putting a wood stove in a tiny house, to have a fresh air attachment, so that it's independent of the interior airspace. Do that if you have a tiny house with wood stove. Make sure it's got a fresh air port. There's no furniture in my house because it's so small, and I want it a little more minimalist, so I strategically built all of my furniture, and so that it optimizes my storage system. It's like I've got this divider between the bed and the desk, and I feel like I made good use of what I have, the space that I have. It's ample storage. And I've got a little cat loft for my cat Mitya right here. I don't really have shelves on the wall for like books and things, so I just keep, I just have a small stack of books, and I've got a pull out here for books. But yeah, I've been like obsessed for years about small structures. There's something like really appealing, the aesthetic experience of it. It's a little bit like a Japanese tea house, and that's kind of how I designed this a little bit. It's kind of a place for contemplation and serenity, but also productivity. It's like a perfect combination.